Thank you for joining today. My name is Tyler, and in this video, we're going to go through the exact step-by-step process I used inside of my agency to scale my independent agency from 0 to 1.8 million in under 2 years as a solo agent. So this is going to be no theatrics. I'm going to give you everything step-by-step exactly how I did it, and then I'll talk you through different processes you can implement to have success. So kind of like I just said, and in the headline, I grew my agency 0 to 1.8 million as a solo agent in under 2 years without running quotes, without handling customer service tasks, and with less than 10 hours of work per week. So here's a screenshot of my agency Zoom account, and you can see we were doing some pretty decent premium, especially for a solo agent. So like I said, my name is Tyler. In this document, I'm going to show you the exact framework. I'm going to cover everything, lay it all out, and you can copy this and go make more money inside of your agency. And it's the same process I used. I was able to run my agency largely from my cell phone and continue growing the agency so that I could get out and go do stuff that I loved. So I didn't stop just with my agency. As I started going and growing, more of my friends in the industry started reaching out. I was in a lot of the different Facebook groups. You're probably in them yourself. And I was just posting tips and tricks about what I was doing, and agents started reaching out to me. So at this point, we've helped well over 250 agencies, and we've helped generate over 75 million in new premium just by following the processes that I used in my agency. So you may have seen Agency Aid. I started running under that brand for a while, just helping people with virtual assistants, but we'll cover more of that as we get going. So if you're watching this video is going to be a little bit long, but do yourself a favor. If you are serious about growing your agency, put your phone on Do Not Disturb, close Instagram, TikTok, everything, put the stuff on silent. It will not take that long. And if you pay attention, I promise you, I'm going to bring you as much value as I can. And this is going to be beneficial to your agency. Because if you plan on scaling quickly, all while removing yourself being a big key, you can follow any step-by-step process, but this is a formula that I know works. And you'll be able to create the same exact results for yourself as I've helped hundreds of other agents to do inside of their agencies. So before we get into the details, I'll show you some proof and some stories about how I did it so you can see how we arrived at this finished product and why it works. So here's a picture of me. I was on the side of a cliff, the cliffs of Moher in Ireland. Had just booked a last minute trip, and kind of as we got going in my agency towards the tail end, I just started traveling a lot. So booked this trip last minute, went for 2 weeks, and ran my agency on less than 30 minutes a day while I was gone. So it's simple, like it's easy for me to say that, but it's not easy to do. You've got to have a plan. So this case study is everything I did step by step, and you can easily follow all of these pieces to implement inside of your agency. So who this is for, if you're looking to automate your insurance agency to the point where you're not working on the day-to-day tasks, this video is for you. If you've got producers or CSRs who are getting bogged down in customer service requests, this is for you. If your agency has tons of renewals that have to be reshopped, this is going to help you. If you're overwhelmed with quoting, customer service, and anything else in the back end of your agency, and you're in a weird balance of too busy to keep working to grow, but not busy enough to hire someone new, this is for you. And if you need support, but you just can't quite afford somebody, this is for you. I promise it's going to help. So who this is not for, if you follow in any of these categories, you can hop off now. If you don't want to put in some serious work over the next 30 days to document processes inside of your agency, this is not for you. Now I'll lay it out as simple as it can be. I have templates and frameworks, everything you need, but you have to put in some work early on to get to where you want to go. If you don't care about giving superior service to your clients and you just want to write business however you can, this is not for you. We care about providing superior solutions to clients. Insurance has gotten a really bad rap over the years, and this is a way to fix that. If you just want quick cash and not to run a proper business, this is not for you. If you're not looking to build a lifestyle agency that eventually can run on autopilot without you, Like if you want to have to go to the office every single day, you can click off now. And then if you enjoy working 12 hours per day and managing a busy schedule, this is not for you. So here's a picture of me. My wife and I, we were in Barcelona, flew out there to go watch El Clasico, the Real Madrid versus Barcelona soccer match, if anybody's into that. I got sick, either salmonella or E. coli, and wound up in the ER, had to go get an IV. My agency kept running. No matter what I'm doing, no matter where I am in the world, it keeps running and making me money while I'm not there. So here's the truth. Nobody's going to tell you about growing your agency. You can absolutely grow it by over $100,000 a month in new business without a massive team of producers and without an army of CSRs. You can automate the agency. However, most agents aren't capable of doing so because they don't know how to do a few things. Identify the problems inside of their agency. They don't know how to bring in steady leads, and they don't know how to define exactly what their dream agency looks like. Then on top of that, they don't understand how to build the systems to make it all operate cohesively and make the back end run without them. If you're watching this, you're already ahead of the game, you're on the right track, and I'm going to help you get there. So this is a picture of me. You'll figure out through this whole process, I love to travel. That's my favorite thing to do. So my business funds me getting to do my passions. So this was me on the front of a boat in Islamorada. I think I was just about to swim through that lighthouse. And so I heard a quote on one of these trips that said, it isn't about who works the hardest, but who gets the best results. And so that's the goal. We're trying to get it so that you're not working in the day-to-day, but your agency still gets the best results and delivers the best service to your clients. So some limiting beliefs to protect yourself from. So first, typically agents think that there aren't easier ways to run their business. They think that they're special, only they can do what they do. I felt this. I felt like nobody could run it as good as I could. I'd taken the classes. I spent so much time learning and practicing step-by-step what I needed to do. But I promise you, there's people out there that can do it better than you can. And there's agency owners out there that aren't working inside the agency. They're not running quotes. They're not worried about renewals. They're on the golf course. You know, the old adage about insurance agents just playing golf. Those are real people. There's a reason we have all these stories. And if you want that person to be you, albeit you don't have to be on the golf course, you can be traveling whoever knows where in the world. We're going to show you how to navigate around the issues we mentioned above, how I created a team of referral partners who feel invested in me and send me all of their new business, how I automated my team member onboarding process so I don't have to spend any additional time churning out A players, and how you can duplicate the method I used to build an army of virtual assistants who handle all my quotes, shop my renewals, and do 70 to 80% of the back office work in my agency, and how we do all of this without paying a penny to overpriced recruiters, spending time on training, and without high overhead costs on payroll. Also, I want to mention, I say on here without me ever having to check it. Obviously, I check everything. As an agent, as a licensed producer, you have to gather the information and present it. Now I have team members that do this, but when it was just virtual assistants, obviously I checked everything before I sent it to the client. Keep that in mind. Don't just let this kind of spray and pray. There has to be steps along the process. And then finally, how we use AI, the big buzzword, to do tons of tasks inside my agency. It frees up humans to do what only humans can do, which is build relationships and eventually go get more sales. So I have gotten to be on a lot of different shows, a lot of different podcasts, telling the story about how I did this for my business. So this is one of the podcasts that I was on. Basically talked through, I just gotten back from Kilimanjaro and talked through how the business grew while I was gone. So like I said, my name's Tyler. I'm a fellow agency owner. I started my independent agency called the Win Agency in the middle of COVID. We had been focused on commercial insurance in my prior agency, but kind of during the shutdown, I couldn't drop in businesses. That's how I was going and getting clients. I was following the pace setter producer program where you call and get X dates, you do drop ins, you make personal relationships in person. Well, I couldn't do that anymore. So I decided to make a pivot into personal lines because I needed to go get now business to pay now bills. And one of the steps of me learning how to write personal lines was to reach out to a lot of experts inside the industry. So I found out how some people were writing, tried a bunch of stuff. I did guerrilla marketing inside Facebook groups, networked with loan officers, went to BNI, bought leads, started finding success with some referral partners, specifically loan officers, and got decent at social media. So I doubled down there. So as I grew, I refined this process, and I'll tell you more about this later and how you can implement it inside of your agency. So if leads are your problem, I've got you covered. Don't worry. Just keep watching. With these leads coming in from different channels, it created some problems I didn't expect. So you always hear about these business owners that are just strapped to their phone or strapped to the computer, and that became me. So as I had more clients coming in, yes, this looked like success to me in a monetary standpoint, but I had tons more clients, which led to tons more customer service tasks. And when you're signing clients, you got to run a ton of quotes to get these people closed and inside of your agency. So I was just stuck on a hamster wheel. I was working more and more each day, stuck to my desk, didn't get to go on any vacations, was constantly missing everything with friends and family, and I was getting burnt out. So I was having lunch one day with a friend of mine that ran an Amazon store, and he was telling me about how he'd hired some virtual assistants. The rest of this case study, I'll tell you, I call them VAs. So he was telling me about how his VAs ran the back end of his business. So I went online, I hired one, had to figure out what to give them to do. So I started out with the virtual assistant handling my social media. So they would find content online, they'd post it regularly, engage with anybody that commented back, made it look like I was always on the computer and just always on top of the ball. So that helped some. I had more leads, but it didn't help the main problems inside my agency. I needed help on the back end, and I didn't think a virtual assistant could do that, but could they? So what's different than a virtual assistant than a local employee? You've got to train either one. So why not train the virtual assistant for significantly less money than an in-person employee? So that's where I started. So step one is I had a notepad next to my desk. And I would write down step by step everything that I did, how long it took, and at the end of the day, I would add up how much time I spent on those tasks. Well, not surprisingly, at the end of the day, I found out I was spending most of my time running quotes, answering basic customer service requests via email. Email bogged me down a ton, and mostly working on non-revenue activities. I was not out prospecting, generating more business. So that's where I started. I looked at what is the step-by-step processes that I can put together so that somebody can help me first run quotes. So most of my incoming quotes were from loan officers. So it was homeowners heavy. So I just used Loom and I recorded step-by-step myself quoting homeowners policies in each of my different carriers. So this took me a day. I went through all of my different homeowners carriers, recorded step-by-step videos, and started sending this to a virtual assistant. But this didn't fix everything. I ran into some issues. Our homes look a lot different than the homes in the Philippines, which is where my virtual assistant was from. So I had to make training modules on how to identify the type of roof, how to identify the type of foundation, what types of siding are there, where to gather home information. And so each day stuff got better and better. And eventually the process got smoother. More leads kept coming in. My virtual assistant handled the new home quotes, and I was working less and closing more. So this was a proof of concept that this can be done, it can work. So next phase, I still had a lot of leads coming in. I mentioned on here that I recorded videos for auto and then rental properties. I was real estate investor heavy as well. So I recorded a ton of videos on how to do DP3s. I did auto, I did umbrella, motorcycle, etc. But DP3 is where I got the most benefit, and we just kept growing. So here's a picture of myself with one of my eventual producers that I brought in. She started out as a client. We signed several of her commercial properties, found out she had an insurance license, eventually brought her in, but that was after all of this growth. So once I fixed the quoting issues inside the agency, I looked at other pieces that could be fixed. If I could standardize the data coming in, I could pretty easily have somebody handle anything in the agency. So I made pretty standardized quoting forms. I built them in WordPress. I'd recommend to you to build these in Jotform or something similar. My website I built on WordPress, so WordPress forms just kind of integrated well. But anything that's easy to use, Typeform, Jotform, etc., that's what I would recommend if you're just getting started. So I put in conditional formatting on all of these forms. So as soon as they clicked, like let's say the first page said, what do you need a quote on? And it says rental property. The next page would ask, okay, what type of property is this? Is it short-term rental, long-term, fix and flip, etc.? Because some carriers would allow short-term rentals and some wouldn't. Sometimes if it's a fix and flip, you can just do an endorsement, or sometimes you need to write a builder's risk policy. So this helped me know and helped me build training for my virtual assistant to know what to quote. So the conditional formatting was key. And by knowing the questions I need to ask, I could have standardized forms to bring in good data into the agency. So at this point, all of my personal lines quotes were being handled. And since then, which is over 3 years ago, I have not ran a single personal lines or commercial quote inside of my agency. Processes were smoother, getting done faster, and customer service was better. Because we were flipping quotes so fast, clients felt like we were on top of the ball and extremely professional. So this freed me up to, you guessed it, do more traveling. So went and climbed Kilimanjaro, went to Africa for 2 weeks, went on a safari, had a blast. It was awesome. So next challenge, customer service requests. You know what I'm talking about, mortgagee changes, ID cards, certificates of insurance, things like that. So I started recording videos on how to do these things and eventually got to about 150 videos inside of my Loom library. I then put them inside another learning management system, but that's a lot of videos. Now at this point, we've got, last I looked, it was over 900. We may be over 1,000 by now. So I started telling more and more of my friends what we were doing. And several of them started telling me how cool this was and how they needed help inside their agencies doing the same thing. So I started building out a program to help them. And if you recognize me, it's probably because you saw a video like this one or one in Dubrovnik, Croatia. In this picture, I'm in Lisbon, Portugal, and I recorded an ad using, I think it was just my phone at the time, walking back and forth across this square, basically telling about how I helped insurance agencies. So if you recognize me, that's probably why. But essentially, what I figured out is an insurance agency in any business really is just like a computer. So don't think about it super complex. I'm not a very techie person, but essentially with a computer, kind of like you can see in this graphic, you have input data, which goes into the system. It's processed a specific way, and then it outputs. And based on the data that comes in, it processes the same way each time, and then goes out the system on the other end. And so if you think of your insurance agency the same way, you can start working backwards and you can identify what endpoints you want, what outputs you want, and then you can build the systems to get there because it's pretty much the same types of inputs coming every day. And so for an insurance agency, you need to be able to bring in clients, educate them, offer them solutions, and then give them ongoing support whenever they sign up with you. It's pretty simple. So back into how you fix those four things. The agency that does this the best will bring in and keep the most clients to become the most profitable. It's simple as that. So don't make this too complex, but just think of your agency as a machine. And so broken down, there's a few main pieces of it. So lead generation. How do you find people who will let you quote their insurance? Then running the quotes, actually quote their insurance. Step 3, present and close those quotes, get them from prospect to client. They agree to work with you. Step 4, onboard and streamline and prime future interactions. So bring them into your agency, prime the next steps. You know that there's going to be service. You know there's going to be renewals, etc. Prepare for that and set some automations in place to help there. And then step 5 could be with step 4, but just any ongoing customer service. So you know you're going to have claims. You know they're going to need to add or remove vehicles or drivers. Prepare for that up front. So by having all of these steps in your head, you can set up a few pieces of the puzzle. And really, I break this down into three main pieces: marketing, generate leads; sales, convert them; and then operations, onboard, service, streamline, etc. So the three main pillars for your agency. So I'm going to dive into each one and show you my step-by-step process on how I help agencies and how you can input this into your agency today to grow. So step one, lead generation. Most people, this is probably why you're here. You want to grow your agency, don't necessarily know how, and it is hard. So this varies from agency to agency. Some people want to call new leads, like they want to buy leads and dial them. Some people want to pound referrals or pound lenders asking for referrals. You want to ask friends and family for referrals, run giveaways on social media. There's a million ways to find leads. All marketing works if you do enough of it. One of my mentors told me that early on, and he's 100% right. So I'm going to tell you what we did that worked inside my agency. So tried a ton of different routes. I tried the leads route first. I bought Facebook leads. I paid a marketing agency that was running ads. I would buy these leads for roughly $25 pop. I would call them, book an appointment, try to sell them. This was okay. Lead quality was up and down pretty heavily. And if you didn't call leads immediately, good luck getting them on the phone and good luck closing them. So then I started buying leads from an online live transfer company. If you want recommendations, I can give them to you. I don't recommend going this route. So I was paying $73 per transfer. So I would sit by the desk, wait for my phone to ring, pick up, and answer. Now, a little word from the wise is what I started figuring out is if the call ended before 45 seconds, you didn't get charged. So I would qualify hard in my first 30 seconds, find out if they were a buyer or if they were a tire kicker. And if they were just kicking the tires, I would get off the phone, so I didn't get charged. So this worked for a while. Lead quality eventually dropped and pushed me to some other routes, and really I'm thankful that it did. So next was loan officers and real estate agents. Loan officers, by far the best. Bought some courses, dove into social media, and kind of paired these two. So this worked, and eventually one of the steps that I handed off to virtual assistants was to network inside Facebook groups. So they would make posts, they would engage with people, create conversations, and it made people think that I was everywhere. And some of this was booking appointments for me to meet with other loan officers. So after 2 years of helping other agencies to do this, I've got a pretty dialed in process. We call it Agency OS, your agency operating system. And what we do to help you generate leads is the insurance leads engine. So it's a combination of a lot of different tools, but essentially the goal is we want to generate inbound leads. So inbound leads and referrals. So people are going to be reaching out to you, meaning there's a lot more intent to buy. Referrals are 4 times more likely to buy, and they close at a 70% rate and have a 37% higher retention rate. So it's easier to close them and easier to keep them inside your book. Dream client. So the step-by-step process we install for clients, and you can copy this exact same piece. This is exactly what we do inside Insurance Leads Engine. So step 1, identify your ideal referral partners and the local influencers in your agency. Who are the people that can refer you your ideal client? Who are the people inside of your area that have the most pull? Find them, put them in a list. Russell Brunson calls this making your dream 100 list. Who are the dream 100 people to work with? Step 2, find ways to bring them value. And just little advice, this is not bringing them donuts. So many insurance agents are known for just dropping off donuts and a stack of cards with a loan officer. This doesn't work. Maybe you've had it bring you leads, but this is not what I recommend. So find ways to bring them value. These people all make money. They could go buy donuts. What they really want is to make more money. So show them how to help their business. So what we do is build out a local authority system in our next step. So really you want to become the mayor of your town. Gary Vaynerchuk, oftentimes referred to as Gary V online, he's got his $1.80 challenge. So what you do is you go to your explore page on Instagram, you pull up the 9 posts there, and you leave your 2 cents on each of these. and you do it in the 10 cities or 10 hashtags around where you want to be. So 9 posts, leave your 2 cents. So leave a comment on all of these times 10 different hashtags or cities and locations. That's $1.80 per day that you're spending. Really, you can do this in 30 minutes to an hour. So he wants you to spend an hour a day to become the mayor of your town, and it will work. I've got some other strategies that work better, but that's an initial one you can put in. Think about how you become the authority in your area. Step 4, become omnipresent on all social media platforms. There's tons of tools out there, but essentially anytime you're posting, you need to be putting out press releases. You need to be putting out things about your agency. You need to talk about wins and successes, and then you need to share it everywhere. So post it on the obvious ones: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, etc. One that a lot of people miss is Google My Business. Google does care about constantly having new content on there, so that's important. The next step, speaking of Google, is blowing up your Google reviews. Businesses with over 50 reviews earn 47% more than people with less, and 93% of consumers say that they check reviews before making insurance purchases. Everybody says they ask for Google reviews. You may have an automation in Agency Zoom, and yeah, that's good. We've got a process that does work better. Again, I had to test it, but it's now led to thousands, if not tens of thousands of reviews. So I'm pretty confident in what we do at Insurance Leads Engine. Next, you want to reactivate all of your old leads. Think about how many leads you've got. Think about how many win backs you've got, and just anybody sitting in your CRM. There is money in the data. There's a reason all these private equity firms are reaching out to insurance agencies, because 1, they have tons of data about people, and 2, because the average client stays for 8 years with an agency, you're in a really good business to be in. So you're sitting on a mountain of gold. Use it and pull some money out of it. And then finally, we use AI to help cross-sell your agency. So you probably, if you have any size of an agency, you're sitting on 200 policies just waiting to be sold. These people already give you money. They know, like, and trust you to some degree. Go get the rest of their business. So a combination of all of these strategies brings in a ton of inbound traffic. So we made a tool to help with this. It's called Ava. She is your 24/7 answering assistant. We tested a ton of different LLMs, large language models, to find the most realistic human tool available. So Ava sounds like a human. She can carry on a conversation. Some people are skeptical, so I'll actually play you. I'll dial her right now.
Thanks for calling the Win Agency. This is Ava, your virtual receptionist. How can I help you today?
Hey, Ava, this is Tyler. I actually had a question about my bill.
Hi, Tyler. Okay, tell me about your question, and I will make sure someone gets back to you with an answer as quickly as possible. Would you mind confirming your name and the type of policy you have? Also, what seems to be the issue, like an unexpected charge or a payment not going through?
Yeah, so my name's Tyler Woodall. I've got a home and an auto policy with you guys, and it just looks like the bill never went through, so I needed to check on that.
Got it, Tyler. Thanks for the details. I'll note that your home and auto bill seems to have not gone through, and I'll make sure an agent looks into it for you. What's the best way for them to follow up with you, by phone or email?
Yeah, by phone. And so I ended that, but you can see I've not cut this. That is real time, exactly how she communicates. So she can handle the conversation, she can gather information, and then at the end, she's going to email you a transcript. She can even book in your calendar, whatever it is that you need. But this is a way to free up your time and make the agency run smoother. So next up, new leads don't necessarily mean new sales. A lot of people mess up here. So a spike in new leads doesn't necessarily turn into premium or revenue on the books. One thing that most agencies mess up is clean data. I kind of touched on this earlier, but you need to start with the end in mind. What data do you need to bring into the agency in order to get a really good quote? So this is a simplified version, but you're going to get what I'm talking about. So for a car insurance quote, you need name, date of birth, address, driver's license number and state, and then you need the vehicle information, year, make, model, and VIN number. You'll need this for any drivers. And then from there, you can run quotes. You can pull reports, you can pull a clue, MVR, whatever it is that you need to finalize that quote so you can present present it to the client, and then talk about coverage gaps and things like that. So you already know this stuff. So just make a uniform way for the information to come into the agency. Like I said earlier, I built these out in WordPress forms. You could do Google Forms, that's a free version, or whatever else, as long as you have something. So anytime somebody called into my agency, either I would fill out one of these intake forms, or I would make sure I had all the information and I would forward it to my virtual assistant, and Jane would fill it all out. She would use the same form every time. She would copy and paste the information, put it into the form, and so that it came into the CRM the same way every single time. I was using Agency Zoom. I connected the form with Agency Zoom using Zapier. So that would pull the information, put it in the CRM the same way, made sure all the data looked clean, made sure some leads aren't in all caps and some are first letter capitalized, rest of it lowercase. That way, anytime automated text went out, it all looked right. And it would trigger the automation properly. So by having clean data coming in, it allowed it always to stay uniform. And this is 100% necessary to make sure the agency is flowing smoothly. So here's an example of what happens. This is one of the agencies we worked with. They implemented this, and after a few months, they were churning out roughly six-figure months. You can see here they were trending for $98,000 that month in new business as a solo agent with a virtual assistant. This is completely doable. So operations, this is part that most people mess up. A lot of people don't know how to generate leads, and then from there, they don't know how to run the back end. So they don't even get to the operations part because they're not growing enough to have these issues. So some people use comparative raters. That may help cut down with some quoting time a little bit. But let's say you're really good at running quotes and you're an independent agent, you have several carriers. It's going to take you at minimum 30 minutes per household to run a quote. And that's just basic quotes. Now, by having a virtual assistant, I was able to get this done the same way every single time. Clean data leads to your pipeline looking super uniform. This allows you to make some simple training processes that handle exactly how you want these quotes to come in. So in my training, I covered how to run the quotes in carrier sites. So for example, how to run a homeowner's quote in Travelers, how to run a car insurance quote in Progressive, DP3 in Foremost, etc. So then I covered what coverage standards I expect inside of my agency. Some people want to quote state minimums. That's not how I did it. So all of my policies at minimum are 100, 300, 100. We do not do less than that. I'm in South Carolina, so most of the policies we write are in SC, and it's 25, 50, 25 for the state mins here. Most of my people, I like to write 250, 500, 250 for auto. And for home, obviously, I increase the liability limits, etc. I'm just giving you guys an idea of how we do it. And so then I want to have a process on how to add the quotes into my CRM or my AMS. So you need to do this exact same thing. So what do we put into the system? So do we bridge the quote and get it completely finalized? That's how I did it. So my virtual assistant would finalize everything, download the PDF, upload it into Agency Zoom, and then move the lead from quoting to quoted. As soon as it hit quoted, it emailed me or the producer on file to let them know to go present the quote. So let's just do some numbers. Let's say your agency does $50,000 a month in new business premium. In South Carolina, that's about 9 households. Average household's roughly $6,000 in premium. So you've got home, 2 autos, an umbrella, maybe a personal articles floater, some type of trailer or toys, something like that. And let's say you're closing at 33%. For the industry, this is pretty solid. So we're going to be conservative. So that means you're quoting 27 households per month if everything's solid. You're writing 9, you're quoting 66% more than what you're closing. So you're quoting 27 households. If you're spending an hour on each of these, that's 27 hours of work per month just on quoting. So when you drill down into this, running a quote is really just data entry as long as the data is correct. So if you can make sure you've got the same data every time, anyone can run your quotes. So let's go back to your team. Let's say that you're spending 27 hours running new quotes, and it's probably more than that. And let's say you're spending 30 hours a month shopping renewals. You've got a decent book. And so total, you're spending 57 hours per month just on quoting. All right, so with some quick research, I found that the average salary in the US for an insurance CSR comes out to $41,142.40. I believe I got this from Indeed. So that comes out to $19.78 per hour. Let's say your CSR is the one doing your quotes. So they're basically at $20 an hour to run all of your quotes. And please don't have an agent doing this. They need to be building relationships. So that means you're spending, if we keep these numbers, $1,127 per month just on running quotes. So almost $14,000 per year. And you're probably not shopping all of the renewals that need to be shopped. Everybody has got 18 to 25% rate increases right now, and you're not getting to touch everybody. So I'm going to show you how to cut that number in half. Essentially, you should save about $22,000 per year if you just copy my framework I'm about to show you. So you can spend this extra cash on marketing, you can generate more leads, you can take your family on vacation, whatever it is that you like, and I'm going to show you how to do it right now. So my secret sauce has always been virtual assistants. Like I mentioned earlier, I brought all of my VAs through an in-depth training process, all the SOPs I documented, and now we have improved this using QuoteSim. So QuoteSim is a simulator. It's a training portal I built out that simulates the inside of the top carriers and raters so that our virtual assistant get real world experience. So you can have them watch 150 videos, but they don't really get better until they're actually clicking the screen. So by doing this, my simulator will track how long it takes to run a quote, how accurate they are, and it will give them step-by-step how to improve in the future. Countless agents have told me about how they tried to hire a virtual assistant and it didn't work out. And honestly, after doing this hundreds of times now, we've probably placed 500 plus virtual assistants. I'm not surprised. Agents without proper training and systems are going to fail, but I'm not going to let that happen to you. So here's a picture. You can see in the middle, that's myself and my wife with some of my team members. We flew over to the Philippines. I've been over a few times now, just getting to hang out and kind of build rapport with the team. And so your virtual assistants are going to be a fraction of the cost of a local employee. So it should be at least half of what your local CSR is. So that's some of where we were getting some of that savings. And so my team now with Agency Aid, we help staff, we call them agency assistants because it's higher level than just a typical virtual assistant. They're specifically trained how to run the back end of an insurance agency. So we help agencies do this every single day. We handle the training and the staffing piece. You don't have to do it. You don't have to pay outrageous staffing fees. So if you need help with that, reach out to my team and I'll show you exactly how we're going to save you money inside of your agency. Next is presenting and closing. A lot of people love to buy sales training for the industry, but a lot of times you have a leads problem. Hopefully by now you don't have leads problems. So now we want to go close these leads. So typically, kind of like I mentioned here, captives generally do a lot better than independent agents because indie agents feel like, oh, I have tons of different carriers. I have tons of options. I'm going to go shop all these carriers and I'm going to bring back the best price on the market. Captive agents don't have this, so they have to sell value. So a lot of times independent agents have it a lot tougher here. If you can be an independent agent and you can sell value, you're going to crush it and you're missing a massive opportunity. So I call this the Swiss cheese delivery system. So essentially, when you're selling insurance, agents get mad all the time that all clients care about is price. Well, I know when I was in school, I didn't have a class on how to buy insurance. So I learned how to buy insurance from actually buying it, meaning insurance agents taught me how to buy insurance. So if you're an insurance agent and you're mad at your clients, it's insurance agents that taught them that this product's a commodity. So don't play that game, change it up. So refuse to play the price game. So there's a good chance that clients don't understand their current coverages and they don't understand what services are available. So show them that either their coverage or their current service has more holes in it than Swiss cheese. I stole this analogy from a mentor of mine that coached me in personal lines. So all you need to do is draw attention to these gaps, either coverage or service gaps, and then you can put whatever price tag you want on fixing that problem, and that helps narrow the gap in price if you're more expensive. So if you don't think you're worth 10% more than your competition, you either need to increase your skills, increase your confidence, or increase services that you're offering to your clients. So just refuse to be like other agents. Give better service, don't sell on price, and I promise your close rates are going to go up. So many times, all that's going to take is education. Like I said, most clients don't understand what coverages they currently have. Their agent flipped or put together some quote, flipped it back to a loan officer, and sent it to them because they were purchasing a home. And they did no extra work. They didn't educate the client on what the coverages are. They didn't tell them why they picked them. They probably didn't even look that hard to decide what coverages they needed. They just put together whatever's the cheapest and sent it on so that they can bind that policy. If you educate clients, I promise you're going to have success. So in the homeowner scenario, they probably don't know what water backup is. They don't know what buried utility lines coverage is. They probably don't know that siding and roof replacement and matching is an endorsement they need to think about. What about percentage deductibles on their roof? They've probably never heard of it. So if you come in and can show them that their deductible is actually $22,000 and yours is only $10,000, yours now looks a whole lot better because that's $12,000 more they've got to pay out. So think about things that aren't covered and think about scenarios that could go really bad for clients. In car insurance, you can pick if somebody's driving down the road and veers into some type of commercial auto, or if a commercial client hits somebody and doesn't have $1 million limits. So explain these potential problems and how your product fixes them from being bigger problems in the future, and clients are going to start seeing the value. When I started asking more questions, my close rate went up. So basically, by doing this, you're going to start closing more people, but by fixing all of the process issues, you're going to be able to spend more time building relationships with your clients. If you don't feel as rushed because you've got 15 other tasks you've got to do, you can spend more time asking clients, how's your kid doing? How's their soccer team doing? You can find out about what they care about, and you can be a real human, build relationships, and you're going to have success. That's the reason you got into this industry. You were probably outgrowing going up. You got in trouble for talking, and somebody told you should go into insurance. So get to know these people, and once they know, like, and trust you, your retention is going to go up too. They won't want to leave. So sales is a lot simpler than a lot of people make out to be. Next, you've got to onboard and streamline the process, and you've got to prime future interactions. So you sold a client, you're not done yet. So you got the first year's premium, which is fine, but you got into insurance for residuals. So let's find a way to keep all of that money without doing a whole lot extra work. One of the things I've heard said throughout the industry on various podcasts is insurance is full of C players. Most don't go above and beyond. So it doesn't take that much to move the needle and show somebody a different experience than what they're used to having. And your onboarding process is the first chance you have to show people that you're different. So what I did is I mapped out exactly what I wanted it to look like. I wanted to send a welcome email. I wanted to educate them on how to get the best service from me. And then I wanted to send a couple little check-ins over the course of their time with my agency until their next renewal. That's only 4 or 5 emails. Just write those one time, schedule it inside your CRM, Agency Zoom, or whatever you use, then you're done. And so this will get done every single time, and you don't have to think about it anymore. So like I said, I had Agency Zoom set up with various different check-ins with my clients. So one day after purchase, they get an email from me, and I would outline how to get service done. I had a one-pager that would email out, linked in this document, that showed how to fill out our service page on the website if you want to do it and not have to call in, had the phone number to use, had who to email, etc. I call this making Build-A-Bear clients. You want to put together the exact clients that are a dream to work with inside of your agency. If you don't know what to put together for this onboarding process and you don't know what emails to send, shameless plug, I have all of this done for you inside of Agency OS. So if you work with my team, we will send you all this stuff. You'll copy and paste it, and you're ready to go. So educate clients early on how you want things to run, and your life's going to be better long term. So agents a lot of times get mad at clients for being rude, for not caring. Well, did you ever tell your client how to get the best service for you? If not, maybe it's a you problem. So Jocko Willink has the book Extreme Ownership. Take ownership for what's going on inside of your agency. So yeah, people are crazy. You're still going to get 3 a.m. calls. Literally got one not too long ago from somebody that called me at 3 a.m. saying they had a total car. And you're going to get those. But again, remember, we talked about your 24/7 AI assistant. We've got Ava. Ava is our autonomous virtual assistant. She can answer the phones. So at 5 p.m., rather than you take the calls, have it forward to her. Or if you're just running your agency through your cell phone, which I don't recommend, have Ava switch in for your voicemail. So it's pretty easy to do call forwarding from the voicemail to your Ava number. She can handle the calls, do customer service, and it makes your clients feel like they can always get somebody, and it'll save you from getting blown up. Because what happens is, if it's late at night and you get a call from a client, yes, you have to step away to answer the phone. And so you're physically leaving your family, but then mentally you're away from them for an hour after that because you're thinking about what you have to get done the next day. So this is only the beginning of what you've got to do inside your agency. There's tons of other automations you can add in that keeps making the life easier. So inside the Leads Engine portal, I've got lots of frameworks that will help you reach out to people. You'll get thousands of additional reviews. That's obviously going to be good because you're going to rank better on Google. Most people never ask for referrals. Just by adding this automation into your agency, the operations are going to flow better, you're going to look more professional, and it's going to help your business. So it helps on the lead gen side again. So most people aren't doing anything, so anything you add is going to be better than nothing, but I am really confident in the way that we do things. Again, I kind of mentioned here, cross-selling opportunities. You're sitting on tons of business, not even in just old leads, but in your current clients. For me, on my homeowners heavy lead gen, I was selling tons of homeowners policies, but leaving the autos out. So I was able to go round out those accounts and had a lot more success that way. So the more you can plan for things, the more success you're going to have as you go in your business, and you're going to get more referrals. So here's a screenshot of an email I got just a couple of days ago. Good morning, Tyler. So-and-so recommended I reach out. I have 2 martial arts gyms. And then we went on from there. He gave me his information. I quoted it and won the business. So every day I get referrals from personal lines and commercial lines clients. And when you've got a dialed in process, when you're educating clients, they're going to love working with you. When they refer you to other people, they're going to get clout, which makes them feel great because they're helping their friend get a really awesome experience. So their friend sees them as somebody having a lot of knowledge and being resourceful and valuable. And so that increases that person's value to their friends. And then ongoing customer service, this kind of fits in with the same onboarding process. You're an expert. You know what's going to happen. People are going to have claims. They're going to do something dumb. That's why they bought insurance. It just happens. So go ahead and plan for this. So for me, I've got an intake form for claims. I've got an intake form for service. So anytime somebody has a claim that comes into my agency, we have automated touches that go out to the clients. Hey, has your auditor reached out to you yet? Hey, how's the claim going? Do you need anything from me? Is there any way I can be of value? And so inside of Agency OS, yes, I have these templates, but I also have frameworks that show you how to document what you want your agency to look like, how to define what are the repetitive tasks I'm doing, and then how to automate, eliminate, and delegate these tasks from your day-to-day so that someone else is handling them, automation's handling them, or you just don't do it if it's not that important and doesn't move the needle. So good data is one of the keys for making sure this happens all the time. And by having these intake forms, the data came in the same way every day. And then I got reports at the end of the day. So it gave me a really great finger on the pulse to know what was going on inside of my agency. So the service things you got to think about: mortgagee changes, COIs, ID cards, sending deck pages, adding or removing drivers, claims, etc. You know your agency, you know what you've got to do. I've got guides and templates for all this stuff. So if you need help, just reach out to me. Even if you're not working with a team, I've got resources I can send you. So if you understand all of this and you've gotten to the end and you feel like you need some help, if you're an agency owner or an inspiring owner looking to grow, if you're a producer who's not satisfied with your current results or where you're currently spending your time, and if you're an agency owner who is burnt out and can't keep doing the same thing every single day, can't stay on the hamster wheel, if you're currently doing at least $30,000 a month in new business, and if you want to scale your agency in monthly new business as well as get smoother processes, keep watching. So if you want to turn your agency into a well-programmed computer that can run without you, that churns out massive amounts of money without you needing to put in tons of money on buying new leads, without slaving over training or paying enormous fees to staffing companies, I will install Agency OS, the blueprint, into your agency. So I've got all types of resources. I have literally dozens of documents. We help you find your why, time analysis worksheet, bottlenecks worksheets, your agency matrix, how to document SOPs in your agency, how to hand off all of your personal lines quotes, how to hand off renewals, making yourself a local authority system. Tons of resources we will install inside of your agency. If you need leads, we will install the leads engine portion of Agency OS. So we will help you add 200 policies per year minimum without you spending a dime on ads, without cold calling, or having to go to a single BNI group. And if we don't deliver, we will work for you for free until you do. And then if you need to automate yourself out of the agency, if you're spending too much time, we will give you a trained agency assistant through our Agency Aid program who can run your quotes, shop your renewals, and handle up to 70% of your back office work. And if you're not 100% satisfied, we will replace them at no cost to you until we find the perfect fit. So if you want similar results to the hundreds of other agencies that we've worked with, and you want to install all of this in your agency to grow faster and work less, hit the link in the description. My team would love the chance to get to work with you. Book a call with us, and we will install all of this into your agency. And if you're not 100% satisfied, we will make it right with you, either with a refund or increasing services to make sure that your agency grows. So like I said, my name's Tyler. I really look forward to getting to chat with you, and I hope to talk soon. So thanks.